Hello and welcome to Funny Science Fiction, the live edition. Hey, welcome everybody to Monday Night Live on Funny Science Fiction Podcast, the podcast where we help golf balls propelled through stargates find their targets.
Before we get into tonight's show, we need to say our thanks to our show partners, River City Teas and Level Up Lightsabers.
So let's get right into that with River City Teas.
With over 700 designs to choose from, River City Teas has something for everyone. Need some new nerd merch? River City Teas has you covered. Need funny or sarcastic designs? River City Teas has you covered. Are you looking for a new logo or custom design? Whether you need 1 or 100, River City Teas has you covered. With multiple colors and options for each and every design. With things to choose from like shirts, hoodies, phone cases, coffee mugs, and so much more. Be sure to follow River City Teas on Facebook and Instagram. If you do, you'll get the latest on designs and information about upcoming sales. River City Teas. Let's make a shirt together.
Alrighty. We always start with that one so that then we can get all super excited about Level Up Lightsabers! It's up there. I can't reach it. I should have gotten it back. And as always, links for both of those can be found in the comments section and show notes.
They're already even in there. I'm like so on my game as of late with it. Well, at least this portion of the show, the whole getting it started on time and not talking over the first couple seconds of the intro. Right? I'm doing, otherwise.
You did great. And honestly, the only reason that I half stuttered is I got the notification on my phone that Mika Burton is going live with David Diggs on Instagram. And I'm like, wait, my own show. But it's hard. Yeah, minor technicalities when you got to do stuff for your own stuff. I know, and I mean, I'll be able to watch the video later, I'm sure, but I got excited.
All the same. And hey, if you guys have noticed, there's a nice little scrolling thing down at the bottom, Anyway, if you get a chance, make sure to like and subscribe. You taking a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel helps us continue to grow. And hey, if you want, you can even, buy us a coffee.
Oh, we dropped it.
Yeah, okay. I was trying to mute my mic and cough at the same time, and one of them won, one of them lost. I'm not going to let you. I'll let you guess and figure out which one's going on.
I'm guessing since we heard you cough.
Right? I don't know. I have a tickle in my throat all of a sudden. Wow, sorry. I'm blowing out a microphone tonight. That's going to happen.
Before we actually get into anything, we don't do anything serious, but anything actually show related. Can I show off what I bought at Comic-Con this weekend?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous. An option. I bought a Lego Bert and Ernie. I think that's so cute, though. I don't care if they mess with my green screen. It was worth it because it was hilarious. I mean, my daughter picked out a Lego Batman for herself, but then I saw the little Lego Bert and Ernie, and I'm like, I need them.
That's fantastic.
So they're the latest addition to my craziness on top of my computer.
Yeah, I think I probably would have bought them too. So yeah, I completely understand there.
That in addition to, I found a very cool Traverse City, Michigan-based T-shirt place. Not that it's better than our own T-shirt place, but it was pretty cool. That had a Michigan Nerds shirt that looks like the Marvel Comics logo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that is going to show up on the show eventually, I'm sure.
I don't know who the Facebook user is, but greetings, you beautiful people. And Tim, I'm guessing that's Casey.
What?
Is it Casey? It's either Casey. It's either Casey or Ron. But either way, they're both wonderful folks, and I love their support dearly. So,
or if it's suddenly somehow Rick tonight, and he's just ignoring you. That'd be hilarious.
No.
It's Ron, but
there we go. They're both wonderful people. It's a shame that Facebook won't allow them to be anything but, Baron von Lippy-Pence. Yes. Ron, that name might actually stick. Baron von Lippy-Pence. I kind of dig that. Considering that we name our dog Toaster von Strudelbutt, so it just seems to fit. Goes right along with it. So I keep flashing this up on the screen, and I had a coughing fit a moment ago, and I'm gonna get through this one way or another. There it is again. If you want, you can buy one more time. You can buy us a coffee. That helps us to continue to make content for you to enjoy. Helps offset some of the cost of putting on this here laser light show. So,
no, I don't know if that'll mess with my screen or not. Never mind. Sorry, my lights are on my computer. Will flash. See, now I have a party, but nobody else can see it.
There you go.
I should not be allowed to have buttons.
Yeah.
I saw a reel. I saw a reel that I sent to my mom because it was totally me, and it was my mother told me that I could become anything, so I became a problem.
That actually might be the most realistic reel you've ever sent anybody.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was even better.
Did you tell her that you thought it was accurate in a description of you, or that it was just for funsies?
Oh no, I totally knew it was an accurate description, and told her that. And it was even better that it was a goat in the video.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I love how your husband knows you so well.
Well, yeah, because buttons.
If you give Kathleen a button, she's going to push it repeatedly.
Especially if it says do not push.
All right. Hey, we do have one of our guests waiting for us in the green room. So
tonight we welcome, I'm going to assume it is Duchess of Dark Saber Light.
Yes, it is. We're going to go ahead
and
to
choose from.
You did have two, and I see why you made the choice you made, but let's bring Jessica onto the show. Hi, Jessica.
Hey.
Well, hello.
How are you doing?
Well, I'm all right. Late from some technical difficulties, but we're all here now.
Hey, you know what? It's Monday night. We expect technical difficulties. We have them all the time. At least that's what we call them. So
I have brain technical difficulties. Does that count?
Totally counts, especially on a Monday. But hey, Jessica, before we jump into tonight's topic, I was hoping that you would take a moment to let everybody know about you, your Twitter page, and your show, and everything you're doing over there.
Sure. Thanks so much for allowing me to do that. Yeah, my name is Jessica, and if you're on Twitter, you'll know me as the Duchess of Dark Saber Light. That goes with my podcast, which is called Stories by Dark Saber Light, which has been something that's been a little bit difficult to keep consistent. But we talk all about Star Wars and storytelling, and really deep dive into just everything that my co-host Arika and I, the things that we feel make Star Wars work as a story and as a franchise. And so that's something that if you enjoy deep dives into characters and stories and everything, you can feel free to check us out there.
Excellent. And I can tell you that because I do follow her on Twitter, it's a good follow. There's a lot of fun stuff that's posted and some good conversations. So definitely check her out. Her contact information is shown down in the show notes down below. You'll find a Twitter handle down there at Dark Saber Light, and you can follow her there. And just go right on over to Twitter, give her a follow, and have some fun. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it.
I have to say, I was slightly confused by the name until you said it out loud, and I'm like, oh, by Dark Saber, that makes sense. It took me a minute. I'm a little slow on the pickup sometimes.
Yeah, I have a friend on Twitter who was responsible for the name, and I thought, oh, I really like that. Something, almost evokes sitting around a campfire, but by very Star Warsy. And for me, the Mandalorians and the Dark Saber, those are always topics that I'm ready to discuss. So I thought it
Well,
was something that was unique and yet still recognizable as Star Wars.
yeah, that's really cool. And like after you said the title out loud, and I'm like, oh right, by Dark Saber Light. So and that was exactly what I did. Was the stories by campfire, but with a lightsaber blade instead. Well, a dark saber blade, but you know what I mean.
I do.
All right. All right. Well, cool. So tonight we're going to have a little bit of fun. We decided that what we need to do is have a little bit of a reboot time with some show.
Reboot.
Wait, Nick, you are just feeling it over there tonight, aren't you?
I am.
I noticed. All right.
You had one more personality enhancer than I have tonight.
Your can you put duct tape on it and said personality enhancer.
I wrote personality enhancer on it in Sharpie. Yes, I did.
It's truly
a personality
enhancer.
All right. Sponsor our show, we would take it.
Well, but of course. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about reboots, and there's been a lot of shows and movies over the years that probably weren't done the way that, because we want things done the way we want them, of course. Maybe we want to see them done differently. And if you don't believe that, just go into any Star Wars thread ever. And yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But so what we thought we'd do tonight is each of us would pick a science fiction, fantasy, or superhero themed movie and give it the old proverbial reboot in the rump. Kind of kickstarted a little bit. And why did we want to see this one rebooted? Is there a genuine thought behind it, or was it just that, hey, we thought it would be cool? Both are valid. But then we also want to not only say why we've done that, but we're going to tell you guys who we're going to put in the cast, and if there's a reason why we picked that person for that role, if it makes sense.
That much information. Oops.
It was in the show notes. Anyway,
like I look at those before we get here.
Yes, I know. It was 3 Trulies in. I should have expected more. All right.
The fact that I'm here is impressive.
I'll give you that one. So, Nick, we're just gonna work our way around the horn, and since you're full of juice and pizzazz, I'm going to let you start off with what's your pick and why.
So I went with Logan's Run. It's one of those interesting sci-fi movies, and I feel like they have redone the premise, at least, but I don't think they have totally redone that specific story. Like some of the premises is like the island. There was another one that I swear that I saw, but I don't remember it. It was like everything was white in this movie. Like all the buildings,
that's
like
racist.
the clothing, and it was just
I'm not here. Continue.
like, yeah, it's just one of those movies that I feel like just kind of needs an update. It's in that sci-fi realm that we haven't had in a while, and I managed to find us another guest as well. So this guest we have here is Jeremy, who's also known as Wolf. He is into tech, gaming, comic, movies, and was a host on the show Delve Into the Void that won the People's Choice Award for Battle Creek. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you. All right. Very good. Continue on, Nick.
Yeah, so we're talking about our topic for tonight. It is just like what needs a reboot and how. I don't know how it would need a reboot. It just does.
Well, you don't necessarily have to say how, but why you think it needs a reboot. Who would you put into the reboot?
I did not even think about who I would put into the reboot.
Right.
But
Well, that's unfortunate.
it is. Come back to me. I'll have that in like a few seconds.
Tim is obviously expecting way more thought from us than I think we're actually capable of.
You'd think I'd know by now,
and
but
we've totally forgotten what we're doing.
yeah,
Actually,
we did take last week Monday off at kind of last minute because, well, one of us wasn't feeling good, and I don't want to say who it was. This guy, and
Times with Timothy.
and one of us was already having the night off, and so we were like, yeah,
It's all right. We got this. We can rally. So that's what we do.
all right. So you want us to move on, or do you know who your cast is?
so I think I know who would make a good female lead, and it's an actress who is not very well known, but she is someone that we interviewed recently, and
Oh.
we are actually releasing her interview this week. I think she would make a good female lead for this particular role.
Okay. I even know who you're talking about. That's the crazy thing.
I know.
Right? Who'd have
Like,
thunk?
should I say who it is?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Because then it, well, go ahead. I guess it doesn't really matter.
It is Helia Jones from Lock and Key. She phenomenal actress. A lot of things that she does is like very on point.
Yeah.
As far as guy actors, let's go Tom Cruise, just so Tim will not
I
Never
was
watch,
gonna say,
so
just
that
so-
Tim will never watch the movie or
Argue
care
with you.
about it ever again.
What? You don't like Tom Cruise?
It's not
He
that I
also
don't
doesn't
like Tom
kittens
Cruise.
or puppies or sunshine or
Hold
rainbow.
on. No. I like all those other things. And it's not that I don't like Tom Cruise. I despise Tom Cruise. That's an entirely different emotion.
Oh wow.
Is he
And
the
I can
same
say
for
that
all those
because
musicals?
I know the
Is
guy
it-
who does all the booking for the show to try and get scheduled guests and interviews. And I know that he's never going to try and reach out for Tom Cruise. So it's fine.
So, like, is there a certain memory that caused this, like, feeling to occur when Tom Cruise is mentioned?
My memory is of him ruining every movie I've ever seen him in. Does that count?
Oh, every movie?
So some
Dude,
deep-seated emotions.
Oh,
There's honestly, I've never liked him. I've always thought he was a horrible actor. I've always thought that he was just
For your face, your voice, your clothing. Sorry. I'm singing a song that's relevant to the topic. That helps at all.
was it the Oompa Loompa song?
No, it was the
Should have
loathing
been.
song from Wicked when
Oh, well, there you go.
oh,
Elphaba and Glinda are talking about how much they hate each other. So
He's not wrong. John is 100%
stop
right.
telling him
Wow.
crap like that.
In this instance, John is 100% right. I think that Tom Cruise is to movies just as Elvis Presley is to music. I despise Elvis Presley. I despise Tom Cruise. Although there's much more personal reasons for Elvis Presley, but that's a whole different topic.
That sounds like
I would-
something for your therapist.
I don't think that there's anybody I think that I actually despise in the movie industry. Like,
I actively go out of my way not to watch Tom Cruise movies.
Oh.
And consider again, I know he'll never be on this show. And even if he was, I would sit across from the microphone from him and tell him, "You, sir, are a horrible actor." I don't have a problem with that.
I hate your stupid face.
rumor is he might even be a new Iron Man coming out. So,
No. Right.
I'm gonna go cry now. I'll be back.
No.
if it makes you feel any better, he's supposed to be the bad guy version of Iron Man. If that makes you feel better.
Tim, do you see what you've done? Do you see what I have to live with now?
Again, he is 100% right.
You're a monster.
You're a mean one, Mr.
Mr.
Anyway,
Tim.
we are so just like spiraling out of control here. This is ridiculous.
I was enjoying it, but whatever.
Well, no, it's fine. Yeah. So anyway, okay. So, so you picked a horrible actor in Helia Jones to be in your movie. Okay.
What
So,
movie was you trying to say that it needed reboot?
Logan's Run. I was thinking Logan's Run needs a reboot of sorts, and yeah, just like I feel like they've done the premise already in several other movies, but I don't know. I think they can do something with Logan's Run.
I don't actually
I
think
haven't
I've
seen-
seen Logan's Run, so I don't know if I can.
I haven't seen it in so long. Yeah.
I've
it's
never
one of those-
heard of this movie.
It was one of
Okay,
those.
this just topped everybody. Haven't seen it. Haven't heard of it.
It was one of those ones that was like made. What was it? Late 70s.
Yeah, it's very 70s. So
Yeah, it was made in 76, and basically,
Good-
when they
good
turn
year.
a certain age, the government takes them and
Is it? That was so long ago, though.
and
So anyway, it was nice having Kathleen
Yeah.
on the show.
So, Jessica, what would be a movie that you would
Yes,
like
sir.
to see reboot?
Okay, I thought about this a lot, and what this question really did was just made me recognize how my sci-fi fantasy super repertoire is just not that big. I tried to, and then what movies I have seen, I realized that I'm not really so much a reboot person as much as, you know, I'm usually a fan of when they do like revivals or continuations, even if maybe something doesn't live up to the hype. But you know, I was going through the list of movies that I could think of for this, and even thinking like, you know, a lot of the movies, even if I've got issues with them, I don't want them to be rebooted. Things like The Mummy, which is just like
Ooh, I love that
it's cheesy and it's cheesy and just kind of campy, but that's exactly its magic. And so
I'll give you that.
yeah. I was thinking, I'm digging really deep. I mean, I don't even think I watched the movie, but the one reboot that I was thinking of is that a long time ago I read some of the book Earthsea, and I know that got a Sci-Fi Channel movie, and
Okay.
like I said, I don't even think I watched it because I think that I had heard that it wasn't very good, but that's something that I would like to see actually get adapted again for the modern era. But I figured that I'd bring kind of the nuance to the conversation regarding continuations, which for me, we've been in this era of reboots and revivals for so long now, and I'm still waiting for my Stargate continuation. And that is something that we've been waiting for a long time, and I'm just kind of like, are we going to get out of this period of reboots before you know, people are going to get sick and tired of continuations before we get the fourth installment? And I figure like this is just the perfect time to do this. You know, it's still a franchise that people know about. It, you know, kind of had a rough time a decade ago when it came out with its third installment, Stargate Universe. And I really think that, you know, the issues that it had back then was because SG-1 and Atlantis, the first two installments, were very much in that 90s method of storytelling, which was the X-Files method, which was, you know, the Planet of the Week, the Monster of the Week method. And it really relied on that. And then with Stargate Universe, they really wanted to go for a more Battlestar Galactica feel, which made sense as we were kind of getting into the era of mini-series and having a through line as opposed to little stories for each episode. And people just weren't ready for that. And now I think it would be really cool to go back, see where the characters are, see how the situation has changed, revisit old familiar faces. And also, I mean, when I thought about like, how would I cast this? I'm just kind of like, you know, these are the kinds of shows where I would really welcome a cast of unknowns. I just really think it would be cool to get a bunch of characters in there, still going through the gate, exploring the galaxy, fighting the bad guys, and launching careers for a bunch of unknowns right now. So that's my answer.
I do
That's a good
think
answer.
I do think kind of rebooting Stargate with more modern twists. There's just something about the whole idea of like traveling and exploring and finding new worlds and stuff like that. And I mean, what era would you go with? Like, they already have a ship that can. I mean, if you've watched Atlantis and all that stuff, they have the Pegasus, which allows them to.
By the way, Nick's our resident Stargate nerd, so you're right in his wheelhouse. If you didn't notice, he perked up as soon as you said Stargate. He was like, "Ooh."
Yeah.
It's a show that doesn't get a lot of love on this show, and it is a.
I think that's because you're the only one that's watched it.
There's a lot of people who watched it.
It does not get the love it should.
no.
Like it's
Yeah.
It's one of those shows that like should be like it should be much more of a cultural staple than it is, and the only reason it's not is because it was relegated to cable, and that really bugs me.
That's probably fair.
What I really loved about the show in general was that, you know, you've got Star Wars, which is in a galaxy far, far away and a long, long time ago. So it's set in the past. And then you have Trek, which is in the future. And Stargate was always, this is
in the middle,
our time, and these are our people, and this is the present, and we're living in a world where this is happening under our noses. And I will admit that as the show went on, it lost just a little bit of the magic, because as the characters discovered more and gained more technology, it stopped having so much of that feeling of like it's just, you know, people today going into the galaxy, and it did become a little bit more almost like a Trek feel. But I think that, you know, lean into that, you know, where you'd be playing with a storyline where people have been out in the galaxy for 30 years now, and I say, you know, whatever they've gained, play with it, bring in all the big cool ships, but still keep it very rooted in, you know, our culture and here and now. I do think it would be interesting if they went with the premise that the Stargate was revealed to the world. That was something that they were going to do for one of the Stargate movies that eventually got canceled, and that was, gosh, over a decade ago now. But even though that would kind of destroy this idea of like it's happening under our noses in the real world, I do think that like that's kind of the next big, you know, reasonable step into this franchise. I would be really interested to see how that would play if they just like started with the storyline that it's being revealed to the whole world.
I don't think that's a bad option at all. And honestly, I like your idea of using a majority of unknowns, because I really feel that when the movie came out, that's kind of how it was. There was a lot of people in that movie that weren't household names. There were several, of course, you know, Kurt Russell. You can't say that he wasn't a nobody. But you know, there were several people in that show that a lot of people hadn't heard of, and so it made it, you know, nice that way. And also when the TV shows started coming out, much again the same way, a lot of actors and actresses that people hadn't heard of but became staples to the very fervent fans of Stargate. And I will say that I think Stargate's one of those shows that you either know it exists or you love it. You know, you know it exists, it's out there, but you know you haven't really watched it, or you absolutely love it and you've seen every second of it, and you can tell somebody, you know, it's like the Trek version of Stargate, but yeah, you can tell everybody everything about it. So I have a buddy like that, other than Nick.
Yeah, it's fun when you get involved. Like, you know, it's funny now when I've gotten friends interested in Stargate, because we're so used to TV shows only being, you know, 8 hours long per season. You know, maybe that's 6 episodes or 10 episodes or something like that. And then it's kind of funny when you go back and go, even in the late 90s, early aughts, you tell them about, oh, get involved in Stargate. There are 14 seasons worth of, or no, 17 seasons worth of content, 22 to 24 episodes per season. And it's kind of overwhelming when you think of the amount of content they pumped out, but there's just so much. And I don't know. That was my first love before I even got into Star Wars later on. So that's what I'd really love to see come back.
Perfect. I think it's a great answer.
The writers of that show also had a certain humor about them that they almost were okay with making fun of themselves in a way.
It's a very lighthearted show, and that's I mean, it was very much because of Richard Dean Anderson that they were able to kind of find that magic early on. I think that they kind of stumbled after he left, but I think that Atlantis did a great job of finding that balance again. I think it's just a matter of finding characters that are going to bring that kind of lightheartedness to a show that can be about heavy drama and stuff like that. So I would love to see a cast of basically nobodies and then offset that with some nice guest appearances. And for me, I would just say, let's have the SGC still running, and Brigadier General Samantha Carter is the one running it. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well done. Well done indeed. All right, Kathleen, tell us about the sneak peek you're giving us in the background there.
Why, yes, because I wish I was in New Zealand. No, so as much as I love the movies, I legitimately feel like the Hobbit movies need to be redone because they are a catastrophe. Like, I love them, but they're also horrendous. Like, it's a very big love-hate relationship. The fact that they took a book that you can read in about an hour and a half and turned it into 3 movies is ridiculous. There's actually a Screen Rant article I was looking at about the 15 worst changes from the books to the movies. And it's pretty insane. I mean, like, turning a children's book into an action trilogy. I agree. That is a huge thing. The ridiculous amount of CGI in it. Where did the other one go? The river barrel scene, like, it's so wrong. It is so wrong. And this article says that, where did that line go? Oh, come on. I just saw it. Oh, if The Hobbit had a theme park, this would be the main attraction. Like, yes, that would be a great theme park ride. But it's not at all what happens in the story. My biggest issue with it is the biggest issue that most people have with it, and that's Toriel. And their insistence on making a love triangle in a movie that did not need a romance aspect at all. There was no use for it. There was no need for it. We did not need to have Toriel and Keeley and their interracial relationship. Tolkien didn't put it in there. I don't know why Peter Jackson thought that you needed to.
It was awkward.
It was awkward. And
it made for some weird film scenes.
And bringing Evangeline Lilly in as a different elf is confusing. Like, because she looks enough like Liv Tyler, but she's not. And but people get confused on, well, is that Arwen? No, it's not. It's Toriel, even though they look a lot alike. Bringing yes.
Now Kathleen is starting to make sense. The precious riddle scene is the high point of the book, and the torrible is in this stupid CGI.
Torrible. I believe the word is torrible.
Torrible. It's torrible.
And then bringing
Torrible. I just remember that was the only. I just remember that was like the height of the 3D era, right? Where they were making all of the movies and then like putting them out in 3D. And that is a trend that did not survive at all.
No, because that then made it so that people were buying 3D TVs. And 3D TVs went out the window really fast.
Which, by the way, I am a big, huge fan of 3D. Like, I love the whole real 3D-ness that they had. You know, I love the 3D TV. The 3DS is one of my favorite handheld consoles before the Switch. Like, you know, all my movies, I would not buy a movie unless they had a 3D version of it, you know, and I am a little sad that 3D did die, you know. And
I mean, it's got its place, it's got its purpose, but it was every movie.
Yeah, I agree. They were making comedies in 3D. Come on now. Don't do that.
Right.
I felt like action, adventure movies, sci-fi movies, they just brought so much more like realism and depth to it, and I felt like it was like, oh, wow, I'm more in this movie. But then you just had, like, again, you had comedies that were, and come on now. No. It was overused, and I think that's what killed it. But if it wasn't overused and used rightfully, I think it would have stayed longer and had more of a valuable spot.
Oh, I agree. I agree. It was the look at this cool trick we can do, and then it got old because they did it all the time.
Yeah.
But
isn't that what you're supposed to do when something's working? That's what Hollywood does. They take it and they, they're the mouse with the button, the happy button. They just sit there and pounce on it. So
I think
anybody who does that to buttons.
The most unique use of 3D was in Tron Legacy. So I went and saw that in theater.
Mm-hmm.
The first half of the movie was not 3D.
Right.
So, like, it was not 3D. And then when he teleported or got sucked into Tron,
Then it was 3D.
Yes. I agree.
Cool.
That was great.
It did blow my mind for a second.
I saw that
like,
on
whoa.
IMAX 3D, and that was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I watched it at home, so probably wasn't that exciting.
But that's the point that this article makes, that I didn't mind as much, but I understand people having issues with it, is the number of Lord of the Rings references that they shoved into The Hobbit to remind people that this was a Lord of the Rings movie. That at the end of the trilogy, they're having Legolas talk to Thranduil. Wow, brain. And he's talking about how there's a young ranger among them. You should meet him, and finds out that his name is Strider. The fact that they're like forcing Legolas into you have to meet this Strider. It's like, no, let that organically happen in the story like it's supposed to, and leave it alone. And isn't that what the Rings of Power thing on Amazon is, John?
I thought that's what it was. I thought that was supposed to be of that time, at least of that time period.
Right.
Because I can never say the name of this book, so I'm not even going to try.
Silmarillion.
Yes.
Yes.
The Silmarillion.
Let's go with that.
The
Yeah,
Silmarillion.
we'll go with that. Yeah, we'll go with that. Way to go.
And like, I know that with The Hobbit, they took a bunch of stuff from the appendices and Tolkien's unfinished notes, and they tried to put as much of his information into it as they could. Oh, but there's something for letting Tolkien's writing speak for itself. That you didn't have to continue throwing more of his writing in front of us to sell the story. It was you're making The Hobbit into a movie.
Right.
I would like to point out The Hobbit was made into a movie back in '77 as a cartoon.
That's true. And it was a better version.
Did you watch it?
I did. I have
Fair
watched
enough.
it. It is, and like I started this out with, I love the Hobbit trilogy as a separate work from the book of the Hobbit.
I enjoy it as a reimagination. I don't view it as a part of the Lord of the Rings because of the issues I have with it. I view it as a separate standalone trilogy, a reimagination of it. And if I look at it that way, I am able to enjoy it more.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. I can get behind that. All right, that's a good pick.
It's kind of like how I enjoy both the Hunger Games movies and the Hunger Games books, but they are totally separate things.
Yeah. Jessica's been having some internet issues tonight, so I'm glad to have her on for as much as we can. So
you guys keep going in and out, like you freeze for a second and then all of a sudden you're back.
Oh goodness.
I don't know why I'm having these issues.
What
actually no, I'm about to read
do you mean?
You okay?
No, I'm just kidding.
But no, I mean, there is something to be said for film to book adaptations and book to film adaptations, and they're not always great, but think of what they are.
Well, it's like the Divergent series. My daughter absolutely loves the Divergent series books.
Mm-hmm.
And she loved the movies until she read the books, and then she was like, okay. She's like, okay, the movies are hot garbage. I'll only read the books now. So
And that is a very similar feeling to what I feel about Hunger Games. As I had read the books, I saw the movies, I thought the movies were crap. I read the books again, and I'm like, well, okay, so I can see how they're a little bit of both. Like, you get enough of it that you're like, well, this is it's a reasonable facsimile of the book.
Right.
See, my thing is that kind of in the same way that I'm not a huge fan of reboots, there are some movies or shows that really are not good adaptations of books, but I generally will have a positive view of them because I like anything that gives me some kind of visual imagery.
Right.
And so, like, even when something really sucks, at least I can look at that and go, oh, it is really nice to have, characters in my head now. I don't know if I don't think about those things in as much depth as other people do when they read, but I always love it when you start to be able to have actors and characters in your head that you didn't have before.
I enjoy having well, that's not what I thought that character looked like.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see from the way that they're described that sure, that fits. But that's not quite what I was thinking. I kind of enjoy that moment.
Okay.
So if it was redone, how long do you think The Hobbit should be? And would you recast anyone, or would you just say do a reboot with the same cast?
I would totally do a reboot with the same cast because I feel like the cast is strong. Like
I was gonna say I thought the casting was done really well.
Very, very well. But I would have preferred almost like a miniseries version. That not quite miniseries length, but somewhere around Endgame-ish type length. That if they split it into smaller chunks, I would still watch it in smaller chunks, but the potential of having 3 hours.
Yeah, I think 3 to 4 hours is where that should have stopped in order to tell the story of The Hobbit appropriately with that cast. I think the cast is beautiful for that, but 3 to 4 hours max. Anything past that, you're adding filler.
Right, and there are some characters that are in the movie that are sentences in the book that don't need half-hour screen time.
Right, they got chapters instead. Yeah.
Right. We don't need the big white orc. He had a sentence. A sentence. That was all we needed.
Going back to the CGI aspect, I think they spent all their money on Smaug. He did look amazing.
Smaug looked great.
For real.
Yeah.
Smaug was fantastic. But then trying to do Smaug and the trolls and the orcs and
it's a lot of CGI. A lot of CGI.
If you can chop things that weren't necessarily in the story,
right?
Chop things that weren't in the story. Save your budget.
It did not need to be a 9-hour trilogy.
Right. Otherwise, your trolls look like Jar Jar Binks, and nobody wants that.
Not even Jar Jar. He didn't want that either.
And I love Jar Jar, but
we know.
I have to remind
better
you
in the show than the movie to me.
Yeah.
Like the Clone Wars show, I think that's when he really kind of okay, we can see where the concept of this character was being evolved on.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie, I don't think he quite had it yet.
No, and a lot of that is that the dear godfather of Star Wars is great for ideas and terrible for writing.
We all know this.
Yeah, great for ideas, horrible with execution.
Yeah, because I had some friends recently who actually have not seen Star Wars in a while, and they really don't remember it. So we was going over it because the whole Boba Fett and all that stuff was coming out, and I keep telling people don't watch episode 2 and 3 back to back. Take the time and actually watch the entire Clone Wars all between it, because so much of it makes so much sense. Because before that, episode 3 was one of my least favorite movies. It was just okay, you have somebody who is really for the Jedi and everything like that, and then you turn. But when you watch the show, it builds on it so much more. I mean, and it's one of those things where it's just I felt at first they were just putting it in there to milk it, how Hollywood does, just throw things in there, how he was talking about The Hobbit. It didn't need all that screen time, but for real, the Clone Wars really needed to happen. I mean, you see the emotions of what the clones actually went through, how Anakin actually slowly started to doubt the Jedi, and you see what things like what happened with Ahsoka just really tilted him that way. So by the time it all happened, and then you get that, finally we got that justice of the last season on Clone Wars, you'd be like, okay, it makes sense now. And it really does do a good job. I'm like, don't skip the Clone Wars on that one.
Right.
You can't.
Right,
Here's an idea. See, you were talking about reboots. I would never want them to reboot the prequels like as a whole.
Mhm.
But imagine what it would be like if in some kind of alternate universe the prequels had been made kind of in this time period where we're much more about the miniseries. Because I think that George Lucas realized right away that his vision did not bode well for a film trilogy, which is exactly the reason why he put out the micro series for Clone Wars between episodes 2 and 3, and then immediately started work on the full series as well. It would have been just amazing if we could have gotten that whole period straight through as one dramatic storyline instead of having to kind of go out of order, which I guess has kind of become a hallmark of enjoying Star Wars anyway. But that would have been so cool if we could have gotten it all together.
Somebody actually did a video on that. They showed that how all the Star Wars movies actually have the wrong titles.
Yeah.
The last one, Palpatine was the Phantom Menace, and then it just showed like all the titles were actually right, just in the wrong movie.
It's a really good TikTok. The guy's like, come on, Disney, hire me. I'll get your titles. I'll get your titles proper.
How Revenge of the Sith should have been Attack of the Clones, which is
exactly.
Like I was like, I'm convinced.
It made
he nailed
so much sense. Like the way he broke it down, I was like, wow.
Yeah, he absolutely nailed it. All right, so Jeremy, I know you kind of came in last minute here, and we do appreciate you being here with us. Did you have a movie that you'd like to see rebooted? Just
actually, if you would ask me this question like a few years ago, I would have actually wanted, and I know this is probably a weird opinion, but the original Sonic the Hedgehog movie to be rebooted, and then they gave us this amazing live action one. So I can't even complain about that. I can't wait for number 2. So. I would actually go a little bit more with a modern reboot that I feel like definitely needs it, but at the same time, I know it left a sour taste in everyone's mouth, and that's the entire Transformer franchise. Now,
for sure,
if you know Transformers, you know that the lore and everything is so much better than what we got in the movies. If you look at the new Netflix War for Cybertron, which is also based off of the game and the book, then you know that we can have a really good movie, like a whole franchise where just take that and make that into live action. That will be great. Like, I feel like we really need to redo, because the action with Transformers, great. In fact, Transformer franchise is still one of my favorites, even though it has been heavily destroyed for a better sake of, terminology there. Especially with that last night, I feel like that was just completely like as if you had people. Yeah, I feel like you had like 9 different people writing the script at the same time, and everybody was just like, "Hey, let me write this part. Let me write this part. Should we make this actually make sense?" Nah, we throw explosions in it and everybody's gonna love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's basically
Michael Bay.
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
and if that had been Michael Bay, that would have been 3 explosions right there. 3 coughs, 3 explosions.
Right? But the action is so good. Like, I really do love going back and rewatching some of the Transformer movies just because the action was so good. Like, especially one of my least favorite, number 2, actually had some of the best scene when Optimus Prime is taking on both Starscream, Megatron, and I think his name is Blackout. That was awesome. He's like, "I'll take you all on." I was like, "That's some great." That right there was great. That's actually Transformers. But the story was just, after number 1 was just awful. And if we could reboot that with actual like the storylines that we see in the comics, the gaming, the books, and amazing Netflix show, I'm we could actually have the next really good actual big blockbuster. They're too scared to take out the human element. We can watch movies without humans in it. We can
Right.
do this. And I feel like if
I'm
they
okay.
go
I'm
ahead,
okay with it.
Humans
yeah, I
usually
mean,
ruin things anyway, so
I'm not saying take them out all the movies. Just don't make that the huge focal point. We
Right.
want to see Cybertron. Who would not pay to go see Cybertron back in its beautiful glory day before the war, before the rise of Megatron and the battle and destruction? I would love to see that. I would love to see
Mhm.
what was Cybertron back before,
Definitely.
and then
Yeah.
we see the war happen, and think about how much more emotional attachment you'll have to this whole universe now, rather than just talking about it. Let us see that,
Yeah.
and I feel like that would be great. War for Cybertron and Fall for Cybertron is also among my favorite Xbox 360 games because the story was so good. It was weaved
Okay.
really, really good. Like I said,
Yeah,
I feel like that can use a really good reboot.
You're
Does
not
your
going to get any
reboot
argument from me.
So would you change casting? I mean, you said less people, but
I feel like the actual Transformers themselves, especially Peter Cullen, was just, of course, it's Peter Cullen. You can't cast anybody better than that. The casting among the Transformers themselves was great. As far as the human characters, I would not mind getting better casting. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, Shia LaBeouf was great. He had some great scenes and everything, but also it's Shia LaBeouf. He's one of those guys where, I like to see him, but at the same time, he kind of overacts a little bit.
right.
Honestly, I'd like to see it go the route of what Jessica was saying earlier for Stargate. I would actually, if somebody were to do this, I would like to see if we're going to pull the story back from the humans, which it totally should, because even if you go back to the 80s cartoons, the humans were there more as a plot fill more than the plot. So I would like to see they could go and have a bunch of unknowns, because they don't need.
I would love that too.
Because the bigger names are going to want more screen time. You can put Mark Wahlberg in it. You put Shia LaBeouf in it. You put, these guys, they're going to want screen time because, that's what they're there for. I think, you get some of these, younger, hungrier actors and actresses who are up and coming, and you get them in there. They're just going to be happy to be part of the series.
Like the Bumblebee movie, that was good too. Yeah. Or if you want to get those big actors in there just to pull them in there, make them the voice of the Transformers then.
There you go.
You have an option. If you want some big act name in there, throw them in the voice.
I want Jazz to not be dead and be voiced by Kevin Hart.
Okay. That's actually, I actually pictured, I don't know why, but for some reason I also think like Idris Elba will be a good Jazz as well for some reason. I don't know. I picture that voice as well, but also Kevin Hart would be great. I feel like
because Jazz was a little, a little spunkier, a little, he was sarcastic, and he was a smaller sports car. He was built for speed, and that's Kevin Hart. So, in my mind.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, again, you could bring these big guys in here and make them as the Transformers themselves. So this way we can focus more on them. Like, we have the technology. We've seen the last few movies actually give these characters really good facial expressions, acting as far as, the CGI is there for it. We can do this. We don't have to rely on humans for the emotional part for the movie, and we can have an arch, because I know they're talking about Beast Wars is coming out, and that should be pretty interesting because we all know Beast Wars takes place in the future where everything was already ruined. So, like, again, I'm pretty sure that's going to hopefully be our first actual movie without humans in it. But, I feel like we can do this.
All right, cool. All right, so we have one left, and that's mine, and I'm just going to buzz through this because we're going to be starting to run short on time here. But, all right, so the movie franchise that I want to see get rebooted, and I know that it's coming at some point in the MCU. There needs, and I'm hoping that they do this right because they've done it wrong a couple times already.
Many times.
And that's the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the thing: the first two movies with like Ian Grunfeld and Jessica Alba and Michael Chiklis and Chris Evans, they weren't bad, but they weren't good.
Yep.
the Silver Surfer movie was a disappointment on many levels. Because yeah, Silver Surfer is Silver Surfer, and that should have been way better. Anyway, I can go off on a whole spiel about that, but there's so much potential. Exactly, I'm getting there. But there's so much potential for this franchise, and this is Marvel's first family. It needs a proper reintroduction. It needs to be properly done. Now, the people that I would like to see in the movie, I don't think are going to be the people that are going to get it. At least the first couple. We actually had an opportunity to interview Joshua Schubart he played Frank on The Tick from the Pyramid Gang. And we brought him on and we talked with him. And this is actually his dream role, is to be in the Fantastic Four. And he wants to be the Thing. He wants to be Ben Grimm. And so we started this hashtag, and we put it out on Twitter every now and then. So if you see it on Twitter, please help us. We tag Kevin Feige in it, the whole 9 yards. We're trying to help Josh out, trying to help him get this job. But Schubart's clobbering time is the hashtag. And Josh would be a fantastic fit as Ben Grimm. He's a larger fella, so he can play the role. He understands the body, the size issues, and all those different things. I think he's got just a great sense of humor. I think Josh would be fantastic in that role. However, as Mr. Fantastic, I really want to see John Krasinski from The Office, and I want to see Emily Blunt as the Invisible Woman. I think those two
really cool.
I think those two, not only because they have chemistry, because of the hubby wife thing going on, but I think they're both really good actors, and I think they both have range that they could pull that off without an issue. But the two other slots that I thought would be kind of different, I wanted to go a different route with. So for the Human Torch, you have to have somebody whose ability to make jokes, be a little sarcastic. I thought Chris Evans actually did a pretty good job with it, even though I don't think he's that sarcastic of an actor. I thought he did really good with the role that was given him and the way it was written. I thought he was better than the writing. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But so for the Human Torch, I want to see Scott Grimes from the Orville. He's got curly red hair. He sits at the control deck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Cool.
Yeah, he is just 17 shades of sarcastic and has a great sense of humor, and I think he could really pull it off. As far as the physicality of the role and stuff, most of that's going to be CGI anyway, because I don't doubt they're going to set Scott on fire.
You never know.
You never know nowadays. He could be a method actor. You don't know. And then I want to see. I don't need to see it in the very first movie, because I'm afraid that if they bring it in, it's going to, because it's flopped twice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared, but I want them to bring in Dr. Doom. And I'm scared because the guy in the first movies who was from Nip Tuck, and I can't remember his name, but he just seemed, I just didn't like him. And the one that they did in the second movie, well, I didn't like anything about that whole cast. That was hot garbage. Oh God, that was awful. That still just gives me nightmares. But all right, so here's who I want to see play Dr. Doom. We actually interviewed him a little while back. He is a prolific voice actor who does do some on-screen work. I want to see Sam Witwer as Dr. Doom.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Sam would.
Amazing.
He has the ability to play the bad guy in the best way possible. He can just have that. I don't know. It's something about a mindset. When you're going to play a villain, you're going to play it properly. You have to have the mindset that this is who it is, and this is what they're going to do, and this is what I'm going to accomplish with them. And he has proven that over and over again, that he's able to play the villain, and he plays it pretty darn well. Not to mention, I mean, he's Sam, and he's really cool.
Darth Maul.
Yeah. He played Doomsday on Smallville. So there's a whole lot of things here that he could do that I think that would make the Doctor Doom character, come off well. Again, though, it's going to come down to writing, how the show is built and how it's written, and that's the way it always is. But that's what I would like to see. I would love to see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, Emily Blunt as the Invisible Woman, Joshua Schubert as Ben Grimm, Scotty Grimes as the Human Torch, and of course Sam Witwer as Doctor Doom. I think that would be a very solid cast.
I do have one request for this movie.
Fire away.
Please have Spider-Man show up in there and try to actually fight his way in becoming the Fantastic Four because he thinks that they make money. Like, that was one of my funny comic things of all time. He single-handedly beat them all. Okay, like he came up and he was just like, oh wait, what do you mean I'm not going to be making money with you guys? Oh, okay then.
Right?
He just picks off, like
Right.
In Spider-Man, I love the way he's doing. I absolutely love the way he's performing in the MCU right now. I have 100% 10 out of 10 love for Spider-Man in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's a very good glue character. And if you look at the comics, he has basically teamed up with everyone. You name it, he's been there. And I feel like
Agreed. Yeah.
they really should continue on showing Spider-Man throughout this MCU heavily. And I feel like he would be one of the best characters to glue the Fantastic Four into the MCU. I feel like that'd be great.
They need to do the Spider-Man Deadpool crossovers because
Yes.
those are just fun.
Oh yes. But you know what? Even throw Wolverine
Yes,
in it.
please.
I mean, we can do this. We can do
Right.
Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Deadpool all together in one. Hugh Jackman, we love you. We know you're getting old, but we know you still got a little bit more claw action in you.
Oh yeah.
Come on, bring him
Giggity.
back. Bring him
Giggity.
back.
But I mean,
Ryan
even
Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. There's no recasting that.
No.
I will say I
about
have one
Wolverine.
request for the new Fantastic Four, which is I think that the biggest thing, we've had 2 origin movies already. Please do not give another origin movie.
Right. We don't.
I want to see
Just
the
jump in
Spider-Man
it.
didn't do an origin movie. I agree. Like, we don't need another origin movie for the Fantastic Four.
I just want
Just jump in and go.
I just want to be able to see, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, if they do get cast, which I'm really hoping for, they're not, terribly young. I want to see the kids. I'm tired of not, starting with, not seeing the whole family. Because right now, if I had to say it, the best Fantastic Four movie is not a Fantastic Four movie. It's The Incredibles. And
Mhm.
they need to be able to have a Fantastic Four movie that has the whole family and actually shows them together.
Okay, you just broke my brain a little bit. I haven't even thought about the. Holy cow, you're right.
Wow,
Right?
you never thought of it that way? Like,
Yup.
I have I've
literally
never
tell everybody the best Fantastic Four movie is Incredibles.
No, I've
Mr.
never thought of it that way,
Fantastic.
and all of a sudden my brain is now hurting.
I love The
Yeah.
Incredibles so much, though.
Oh, they're
So much.
fantastic. The Incredibles are great.
I've got my little fantastic. The Incredibles is my favorite Disney
Oh,
movie.
okay then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
I saw that
Making-
movie too many times. in
Making
theaters. I helped their
notes
profit
now.
go up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, that was
It's
that.
so
that-
fun.
I-
Is like the first time I introduced my daughter to The Incredibles because it's the okay, you like superhero stuff. Let's go to the superheroes that are your speed. And then it's I'm watching her watch Jack, and I'm like, you're getting ideas, aren't you? If
She is
that,
your daughter.
if
I
that
just think-
kid could be Jack, she would.
I just think it's funny that The Incredibles came out and it was this incredible superhero movie that still holds up today. It is just amazing, and it's got, humor for kids, it's got depth for adults, and yet it came out in 2004 before any of our current modern superhero storytelling was going on. That's amazing to me.
Super suit.
It was
All right.
definitely ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Brain officially broken. Good job. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, before we start wrapping up here, Jeremy, take a moment and tell everybody where they can find you if they want to find out more about you.
At the moment, I haven't been doing too much, but I mean, if you search up YouTube, Delve Into the Void, you'll see a ton of episodes of me on there because I was co-host there for a while and a full host. I'm thinking about going ahead and joining back and doing more episodes because a lot has changed in the last 2 years. So Delve Into the
Sure.
Void, you'll definitely see a lot of episodes of me there.
All right, very good. And Jessica, please remind the fine folks where to find you.
On Twitter is probably your best bet. You can find me at DarkSaberLight, and come over and I love interacting with people. So that's the best place that you can find me.
Perfect. All right.
So last Friday, our guest we spoke with was a longtime actor and voice actor, Francois Choi. Francois got his start on G.I. Joe as Quick Kick and has been seen in TV shows and movies such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 as Shredder, The Expanse, The Tick, Lost, Beverly Hills Ninja, and much, much more.
So before we go on, just real quick, one of the cool things about Francois Choi is that he learned how to speak English because he came from Cambodia when he was about 6 or 7 years old. He learned how to speak English by watching Star Trek, the original series. That was William Shatner was his Rosetta Stone, and I absolutely love that. So
I feel like that gives you a lot of English words that you're never actually going to use in real life.
You know,
Right?
in reality, yes. And the most amazing ability to have dramatic pauses.
pause when he speaks about transporters. So anyway,
See, I would like to say that are dramatic pauses, and it's really just that my brain's buffering.
That was probably what it was in the original, too.
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Nick, it's you still.
Yeah, sorry. You can still find that episode of Funny Science Fiction on our YouTube channel and your favorite audio podcast providers. And remember, your subscription to our YouTube channel is a major help. So please don't forget to click that like and subscribe button and as you watch those videos.
All right, and even though I don't get to surprise people with our guest this week,
Sorry.
that's all right.
I'm sure they forgot.
And it's okay.
I did.
They probably weren't actually paying any attention to us, but I get it. So our guest this Friday is one of the stars of the hit Netflix series Lock and Key. Not to mention that she also has an absolutely delightful singing voice. We had a fantastic time with her. Well, they did. I wasn't there.
So yeah, so this Friday we have Helia Jones from Lock and Key coming, and we had as she mentioned, some of us had an absolutely wonderful time with her. But we talked about the show, where she thinks it's headed, some of the theories that she has. We talked about that delightful singing voice of hers and the singing videos that you can still find of her up on YouTube, on this here YouTube. So be sure to tune in this Friday. You'll be able to listen to that on your favorite audio podcast provider, or of course you can watch the video of that interview right here on YouTube.
Was I there or wasn't I there? Because I vaguely remember bits and pieces of this.
I'm pretty sure you were there, actually.
Who knows?
I think so.
I've done this a lot, and I've forgotten a lot of things.
That was more than a week ago. I don't expect you to remember.
I don't remember what I had for breakfast, Tim.
Yeah, I was giving you credit. I was giving you credit.
I have mom brain. I can remember the Paw Patrol puppies' names.
So, but all right, hey, Jessica, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is you've been a lot of fun. Thanks for putting up with our shenanigans and craziness over here as we're trying to work our brains back into some form of podcasting sense and sensibility.
Well, thank you all for having me. It's been fun to see all of the different interviews that you guys have had up, and I always love seeing what guests you get for the show. So thanks a bunch.
Awesome. All right. Well, that is it for the Funny Science Fiction Podcast, the live edition.
Goodbye. On behalf of the rest of the hosts of Funny Science Fiction, we'd like to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on one of our future episodes, please contact us by means of our Facebook group, Funny Science Fiction. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FunnySciFi, or you can go to DraytonAllen.com and click the Contact Me link at the bottom of the page. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the episode.